Hello.
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 Hi there.
Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Football Times podcast with myself, RadioTimes.com sport editor Michael Potts, and today I'm joined by a man who is intently staring at me. It's BBC Match of the Day magazine writer Jake Wilson.
What is happening? I'm winning this stare off straight away. You're going to blink
you're
first.
Freaking me out here, pal.
Good start. Good.
It's off to a flyer. We'll get straight into it with Friday night football. It's Norwich versus Watford. It's on this Friday at 8 o'clock. It's on Sky Sports Premier League and main event. Norwich versus Watford.
Huge.
19th versus 20th.
Huge.
I'm billing this as the Delia Elton derby.
Of course you are.
Obviously.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's exactly.
As far as celebrity orders go, I feel like you can't get any bigger than a Delia Smith Elton John.
No,
cook-off.
both legends in their own right, for sure.
It may not sound like the most thrilling one, but both teams are so poor, this could actually turn into a classic.
I think it's going to be brilliant. I am definitely watching this Friday
Maybe that's
night.
just the inner Sunderland fan here, just like kind of wanting the miserable relegation battle, awful games.
Both of them need the win. Watford more so, obviously,
Yeah.
because they're 11 without a win in the league. Last team that went 12 without a win was QPR back in 2012, and we all know how that ended for them.
Didn't go well.
So
yeah, you feel like both teams, it's not a case of, Watford are away, normally they would settle for a point away from home, but they've really got to turn up in this one, and so too with Norwich. Like, every home game is a big game for them at the minute.
God, yeah. Watford weren't poor against Chelsea. They really gave a fight, especially at the end, and Ben Foster with that amazing header that nearly saved the point. But points won't do it, especially in this one. They need to go out and beat Norwich, and Norwich need to win themselves. I think both of these could struggle down there the whole season, so this could be very early, very important.
Yeah, we'll start off with Norwich, I guess, but they haven't won since that remarkable City game. Pukki hasn't scored since then, and some of the results since then have been 2-0 loss to Burnley, 2-0 loss to Palace, 2-0 loss to Brighton, 0-0 draw with Bournemouth. They got hammered by Villa and hammered by United, both at home. They're not games you want to be losing. It's not like they've been turned over by Spurs or City, Liverpool, etc. Like, they've been turned over by the teams they really need to get results from, and you're not going to get those fixtures back. Like, once they're played, they're gone, they're in the books.
Definitely. Like, I think we can say the problem, as the results show, is scoring goals. They haven't scored any. Pukki stopped. Cantwell hasn't got any either. But also defensively, they've had so many injuries. Now Tete is playing at centre back. He doesn't even train apparently half the time because of his injuries. So they're just really lacking goals and defensive options.
Yeah.
So
It's
for
not a
Farke,
great cocktail.
that is not it, is it? That is not the one.
I think it's time for everybody, again, in that City game, the thing that we praised the most was the fact that they actually went out and attacked City. They went out, played their game, played to their strengths, and they won. It hasn't happened for them since. So it's this weird thing of, do you then drop the style and just aim for the direct target man Pukki sort of thing, or do you stick with that style that did get that massive win and hasn't done anything since? It's a really confusing situation with Norwich.
I wouldn't want to be their boss right now. I think the way football is nowadays, people stick with their style irregardless. So I don't think Farke will change. I just think he'll hope those forward players start lighting the game up. Onel Hernandez has got one, and he's just become a father, and then played the day after, and hopefully that might inspire him to do something really good because he looks really decent.
It's clutching at straws, but I'll give you it.
We're trying here.
Yeah.
I really like Buendia. He hasn't got any assists, obviously, because they haven't scored any goals in a little while. Stiepermann hasn't scored yet. They've got the ability to get themselves out of it, but it's going to be a fight. Yeah.
The Jake Wilson approach to scoring goals is procreate. Moving swiftly on to Watford. Again, another team who just cannot find the net. They've scored 6 times in 11 games so far, haven't won. It's not looking ideal. Danny Welbeck, who I thought was an interesting signing as your sort of fourth striker, third striker, he's out. Troy Deeney's out. Big signing Ismaila Sarr is out. And the fact that Andre Gray may not even start this one, it sort of says it all, really, isn't it? When you're a team desperate for goals and you're probably going to have to start 2 attacking midfielders up front in Pereira and Defoe.
Yeah, it's not a good look for them. Kike Sanchez has not come into the best of times with his squad, but Dini has just got back to training. This one I think might come too early for him, but they need him back ASAP.
Yeah, they need that talismanic presence,
just
don't they? Just a presence.
Scrap up there and make things horrible for the central defenders, because it just hasn't been that way. I think people have found it very too easy to defend against Watford, and they need to change that ASAP.
Yeah, I think Doucouré as well is an interesting one because he was such a source of goals last year. You wonder whether his head was turned maybe in the summer, and sometimes I think it's quite hard for us lay people to understand this, but you do wonder what we see it with Eriksen, maybe it's Spurs, Doucouré with potentially Everton sort of thing in the summer. How much transfer speculation can turn your head and being unable to refocus on that?
Definitely. So many players, you see it. Some of the players that left very early in the transfer window, like Garner, Everton to PSG, that was really good because it was very clear that he wanted to leave and they let him. So I think it is always such a balance, that one. It can really disrupt your team, and Watford don't look settled at all. Yeah,
absolutely. Prediction for this one?
Wow, you're asking me there. I'm going to go 2-0. Norwich.
Interesting.
I'm standing there.
I'm going to go on the other side of the fence. I reckon Watford are going to turn up. I think they've looked a little bit more solid recently. A couple of draws in there. They looked okay against Chelsea for spells, but I guess it's Chelsea. You can't really expect too much. I just think they've got to release the hounds a little bit here. They haven't scored, and they haven't scored often. But Norwich have conceded 26 in 11, which if you shave a couple of goals off Southampton's 9-0, then
it's not bad,
and
the Krul's been on form too, so yeah.
We'll see. Moving on to Saturday, we have Chelsea versus Crystal Palace. It's a 12:30 kickoff on BT Sport 1. I love watching Chelsea. Just all-out entertainment.
Who thought we'd be saying that, eh?
Ridiculous.
I haven't loved watching Chelsea for years.
Chelsea Football Club, the neutrals' favourite. that's 2019, and that's where we're at.
It is crazy. That Ajax game, Champions League, unreal.
Yeah.
But they never gave up. They kept fighting for it, and I think that's what Frank's got into them. Their wing play is excellent. They work so hard. They're a team now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. I actually missed the Ajax game. I caught the post game, so I was watching Doctor Sleep, which was
nice.
anything but at Stamford Bridge last night. Lampard, he spoke. He was obviously disappointed with Abraham maybe not clearing his lines and the own goal bits and pieces. Obviously, conceding 4 at home is never a good thing, but he was genuinely buzzing about the entertainment that his team put on a show.
They did. That one Zuma got the ball in his own half, took on about 3 players, did some step overs edge of the box, and then fired admittedly into Rosé. But it was unbelievable from the player that we maybe saw at Stoke last year, and he's got that in every single player. Reece James came on yesterday, made an impact again. Lampard loves him. They've got so many players willing to try things. It's such an exciting time.
And it's competition as well, isn't it? So I guess when Pulisic is coming on bagging perfect hat-tricks, that just puts pressure on Hudson-Odoi when he starts to try and seek those headlines a little bit, land the 30-yarder or so.
And that might be in this game because Mason Mount's out injured.
Exactly,
so
yes.
Is that room for Callum Hudson-Odoi?
It's interesting.
Can he fit in? That would be wicked if it was.
A big shout out as well to Willian, who I've been very impressed. I think I've mentioned him a few times in this pod actually this year, and he is impressing me a lot. I was pretty much ready for Chelsea to sell him this summer. I was just kind of when Barca came in with whatever mad bid that was, or rumours of the mad bid, I was just take it and run, man. But he's leading by example actually, which is probably not something you could say about Willie in the last few years.
No, I've been quite a critic of him. He hasn't really had the goals and assists to match his obvious talent, and this year he's really stepped up. Like you said, he's taken a leadership role, obviously seen especially in that front line, playing with the teenagers he's around him, and boy is he good to watch at the minute.
Grandfather Willian.
Oh,
I like that. Moving on to Crystal Palace. So usually after seeing Palace 3 without a win, you'd finish off with, they need to pick up points or they'll be cut adrift. But instead we're seeing they've slid to 9th, just 2 points ahead of Man United.
Reality's just caught up, hasn't it?
What's going on?
They were flying high beginning of the season. They did have some nicer fixtures, but then they've had this nightmare run, haven't they? They had City, Arsenal, Leicester, now got Chelsea.
Yeah.
Next game's Liverpool. I think that's just Premier League biting back a little bit after their nice spell.
But there's no pressure on them now, though, is there? Because, like I say, you lose a game a few seasons ago as Palace, and suddenly you're looking over your shoulder wondering whether you're going down or not. And now it's sort of, we might dip out of the top half. Like, that's such a shift in expectations thanks to great grandfather Roy.
There we are, all the old timers. But yes, I think for this period especially, they've just played, and if they got 0 points out of it, that wouldn't have been the end of the world. They've already drawn with Arsenal. But there's still a lot of problems there for them, I think. I think they really need to start scoring goals. They can't rely on Ayew forever. He's scored more than we maybe thought for the whole season anyway. But Zaha, most shots in the league without scoring of any player. It's not good. They're going to want him to change that.
Yeah. I kept saying, I watched the game at the weekend, actually, the Leicester one, and there was Van Aanholt. So I know a lot about Van Aanholt from days at the Stadium of Light and a lot of head in hands moments with him. But he seemed to be, there was him and Zaha, this little weird running battle where he just kept like pinching the shots off Zaha or like not passing to him, not quite finding him in the right spaces. Ooh. Again, seeking those headlines. Don't know, maybe looking into that too much, but yeah, you just feel like Zaha needs to get on that ball and actually, lock sights.
Yeah, there's a lot of responsibility on his shoulders, and maybe that's weighing on him. He did it for the Ivory Coast when he went on international break. Maybe he's just Premier League's got a bit wise to him. They're kicking him a little bit, maybe too often.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure he'll come good. Yeah, he's obviously talented.
I think predictions for this one.
Hard to see anything other than Chelsea. They're on such rampant form. They're going to get goals, but they're very likely to concede as well. I would say 3-1.
3-1. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Chelsea with this one. I think Roy Hodgson's done a phenomenal job. He's shook off the whole dinosaur classic dinosaur manager. But I think probably just needs to reshuffle things up front, maybe just to get them firing in the games to come. But let's say this one's a bit of a write-off with it being Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. And moving on to Saturday evening, we have it's a big one, this. Leicester versus Arsenal. It's a 5:30 kick-off on Sky Sports Premier League and main event. That's a tasty looking fixture.
God, yeah, this is perfect time for it, perfect time of year. Arsenal are going to be looking at Leicester thinking we'll have what they're having. It is wonderful to see Leicester in the position they are, third in the Prem, keeping out goals. They've got the form striker in the league potentially, and a raft of talented youngsters. Everything's coming up, Brendan.
Yeah, everything's coming up, Brendan. God, yeah. I saw a thing today actually on Twitter saying they paid 9 million compensation for Rodgers. I don't know if you saw that at all, but 9 million, and yet if you think in managerial terms, that's a lot of money. God, but in the grand scheme of things, he's transformed that club in 6 months or so, however long he's been there.
You think about what you get for £9 million as a midfielder, it would be no one, would it?
Yeah, you get I don't know, an Ollie McBurney foot or something.
You get off of him, wouldn't you?
It's Ollie McBurney the one that came in my head.
Ollie McBurney's foot. Wow. But Brendan Rodgers for 9 mil is you'd think is a steal, really. Yeah. He's definitely turned it around there. Leicester didn't like how Puel was making them play. Brendan's got them all firing in the same direction now. Yeah,
absolutely. Have you been watching them recently, Leicester?
I've seen bits and pieces.
I feel like I've watched quite a lot of them, and Tielemans is coming into it, which I'm very happy about. I think he had a bit of a slow start of the season, but he's properly... he was pulling the strings the other day against Palace, and like I say, when you've got the informed striker, Jamie Vardy, utterly relentless up front, there's not really a lot teams can do. I actually don't think they played too well against Palace, Leicester, but they just got that job done. 2-0 away win, you can't argue with that. Like the result,
it's perfect, isn't it? They do seem to have so many options at their disposal as well. Now, Gray got the assist for Vardy's goal, the second in the Palace game. And where's Demarai Gray been? Like, we've kind of forgotten that he's on the books at Leicester.
Yeah, he was so exciting when he broke through, wasn't he? He hasn't quite found his feet.
No. And then Leicester being linked with like Dwight McNeil.
Yeah.
And I was thinking when that was going around, because he's obviously been linked with Wolves as well, it feels so obvious that Leicester are going to get Dwight McNeil for 20 million plus Demarai Gray. That just sounds like the complete perfect transfer.
Yeah. Not a bad mate, wait. Obviously I just need to bring up Kaglas Oyuncu again because he is my favourite man in the Premier League.
What a wonder. What a wonder.
He is just such an inspiration to all of those people with awful haircuts who can still make something of their lives. No, he was phenomenal at the back. So calm, so composed. Him and Johnny Evans. You can't argue. If you don't hear people like Johnny Evans, you don't really hear his name too often throughout the game, and that's exactly what you want from your centre backs.
Definitely. I think they got him for £5 million last summer.
Unbelievable deal.
I'd said in Match of the Day magazine that it was the bargain of the summer, and it's just like he didn't really do loads last year, but then obviously now, just alongside the Turkish wonder, it's
Turkish delight.
Yeah, well there we are, perfect. It's just outstanding how well they've gelled so quickly, especially in the absence of an £80 million England central defender who left.
And from the well-oiled machine of Leicester, we're going to move to the slightly breaking down car of Arsenal.
Yeah, they're squeaking, aren't they, a little
What's
bit?
going on with Arsenal? What's happening to them at the minute?
Well, as a Wolves fan, we played them last weekend, and we were disappointed not to beat them. We had 25 shots at the Emirates, which is outrageous. We won 18 aerial duels. Arsenal only won 7. It felt like the rhetoric around it was just that we wanted it more. Jimenez's goal, where he runs in and heads it past the defenders. Yeah, he just wanted that header. And it's so strange. Arsenal kind of seem to have this problem for so long. Their fight doesn't look as fighty as some of the other teams.
The thing is, I don't. So there's been a lot of stick aimed at Unai Emery, and I think a lot of people have this idea in their head of him being this, Europa League manager, and therefore like a Europa League level manager sort of thing. Like he's not good enough for Arsenal. Like I think we can dispel that. Like it takes a lot to win the Europa League, etc. And the things he's done in his career. I just wonder whether he looks a little bit. I want Emery to be full Emery and not Emery trying to be Arsene Wenger. I feel like not a lot has changed. I think I was hoping for a lot more sort of pragmatism, maybe, and whether that be going a bit more direct, whether that be, like say, grinding out the wins rather than the the pursuit of pretty football. I just feel it hasn't really changed anything since Wenger was there.
No, it's hard to know how Arsenal play. If you had to describe it, I can't quite find the words. Yeah. They change their front line quite often. The top teams like Liverpool, Man City, well, Pep rotates, but they don't have to so often. I think Emery definitely is still trying to figure out how to fit Pepe, Aubameyang, Lacazette in. They haven't all been fit. Then Ozil, that's a new question that's come back around. I think he is struggling to find out the best way to play those, especially going forwards, and the defensive problems. Well, they speak for themselves. Yeah,
absolutely. What are we going for in this one? Arsenal are the underdogs going to this one. Let's just accept that.
Crazy.
This is quite a bizarre place to be in, but they are.
I'm going to say draw. I think, you look at Leicester and you can't really argue it, but the Premier League doesn't work like that. So I think maybe a 2-2, I think, could balance everything out.
I think Leicester are the team who Arsenal will not want to play. Yeah. Pretty much barring City, Liverpool, I think they're probably the ones they don't want to play. I think they're just such a relentless, dogged team. And especially when you've got people like Chilwell, Pereira, who they actually, that was part of the reason why they maybe struggled against Palace. I don't think they got them as high up the pitch. And so could all come down to the full-backs if Bellerin and Tierney are flying forward, if they can pen Chilwell back. But I can't see anything but Leicester taking this one. Yeah.
Tasty.
Oh well. Sorry, Gunners. Moving on to Super Sunday. It's 2:00, Sky Sports Premier League and main event. We have the mighty Wolverhampton.
And it's ho, Wolverhampton.
Cut. We have Wolves versus Aston Villa. Are you a Wolves fan?
Might be.
Interesting. Tell me about Wolves. How's it going? Seven draws in 11 games.
It's pretty chill to be a Wolves fan right now. Obviously, we'd like to turn those draws into wins, but no one's worried. We're all pretty relaxed. We're flying in the Europa League at the minute. Beating Besiktas and stuff. That was lovely.
Besiktas dropping there.
Yeah, dropping the Champions League name in the group. And yes, Villa beat us in the Carabao when we played our kids. They played fewer of their kids. So there's a little bit of we want to beat them this time. And obviously we do. This is as big a match as we get this season. But we know we're playing well. First half, every game, we start slow. Arsenal game was the same. They went 1-0 up first half. Second half, Nuno must do something in the changing room because we come out twice the team we were in the first half, and we battered Arsenal in that second half again. Hopefully we start on the front foot in the first half this week, and I'm pretty confident that we can get a result.
Yeah. It's all about, I guess, how you turn that run of draws or the unbeaten run, as we want to call it. It's all about how you end it, really. Like if you draw in all these games, then you end it with a loss, then that suddenly just puts a whole negative spin on it. If you can, draw all these games and then put a couple of wins together, then it's all of a sudden, Wolves only lost twice. They're on the march upwards. Can we just confirm here, by the way, Wolves Villa? How much of a derby is this? How much do you care? Is this like a little extra spice, or is this like the full vindaloo?
It's not the full vindaloo. No. It's maybe a tikka masala. West Brom's the one. That's the derby. Yeah. But unfortunately, we haven't been able to play them for the second season. So
that's a smug face.
Sorry, baggies. But this one we want. We want to win this. But for me personally, it doesn't feel any more than wanting to beat one of the big sides. Yeah. It feels tastier than Burnley, but maybe on a par with the Liverpool. I don't know.
Interesting. Okay, thanks for clarifying that. I feel like the Midlands is a strange place for rivalries, but so it's a semi-derby. Yes. Moving on to Villa, flickers of a good team in there. They've beaten Brighton and Wolves, in the Cup. They've beaten Norwich, hammered Norwich in the Premier League, drew with Burnley, and then a couple of write-off games, I guess, recently against City and Liverpool. They're looking fairly comfortable.
Definitely, and they look really good against Liverpool, especially. And they did well against City as well. I think they will be fine. I think they've got enough throughout the team, really. I want to give a shout out to Tom Heaton because bargain of the summer 2018-19, he's phenomenal take. He's really sorted their goalkeeper issues out. But then throughout the team, it's brilliant. Engels and Mings, can't deny how well those two have been playing. John McGinn, again proven at this level how strong he is. And they've got goals up top as well. Trezeguet getting one, El Ghazi's on the score sheet. It's looking rosy for them too. Yeah,
and Villa with such a good use of the offside trap that they can get people's armpits offside, apparently. VAR. Yeah.
If we have one of those at the weekend, I'm not going to be
He's flipping
pleased.
Tables. Prediction for this one?
Wolves 9. No, I'm going to say a slim Wolves win. I think we've got enough, especially with Troy Alray on the break.
I'm going to go with a draw because Wolves. Moving on to the final game on TV of the weekend. There's no Monday Night Football this week, and it's just a little matter of Liverpool versus Manchester City. It's a 5:30 kickoff on Sky Sports Premier League and main event. Firstly, yay football!
What a day that Sunday is. The Wolves and then the big title race clash.
You can cheer yourself up after that heavy Villa away win.
Excuse me?
We'll start with Liverpool. We'll move on to City, and then I think we've got a little bit of a combined 11 coming up afterwards. But Liverpool, just again, I think I've used the term with Leicester, but just relentless. I think you learn so much about a team when they come from behind, or when they can just grind out those wins. Like, you don't really learn too much from a 5-0 win, apart from the fact that their players are very good players. But you really see the character of a team come through when in the 94th minute or whatever it is, when Mane with a header, I think you learn so much about a team when they can do that consistently, and they have been doing that consistently recently. They haven't been on top of their game, Liverpool, but they're still turning teams over. Exactly.
As Thierry Henry says, you either win or you learn, but Liverpool are learning from these wins. It's really strong, and they've got so much depth there, and the belief is so much that they are figuring a way to win every time. Pep has thrown some shade this week on Sadio Mane's fouled opportunities. I don't want to say any more than that on his behalf, but they're just doing it, aren't they? They are just winning games every week. Even the Genk and in the midweek wasn't their finest performance, but 2 big goals. They left some of the big names on the bench. They're doing it every single game.
It's the cliche, isn't it? But that's how champions become champions. You know, just grinding out those wins, no matter what the circumstances, whatever team you're putting out, they're just finding those ways to win. Moving on to City, it was a bit of an, again, similar situation at the weekend, I guess. It was a bit of an Alamo at the end of that City-Southampton game, just wave after wave. But slightly worrying stats, I guess, from a City point of view. They had 76% possession, 639 passes, 26 shots, and only 4 on target. Didn't have a shot on target at home at the Etihad until the 70th minute. Should they be worried about that, or is that just a bit of an off day?
They could well be worried. Aguero didn't get many chances in the game. He stuck one away, but he was really isolated for a lot of it. I think a lot of those shots came from outside the box or across goal, where there was a lot more option to block it. So I think, let's say, well done Southampton. They were really phenomenal at the back, especially after the week they'd had previous. I think City will be okay. They must be in training every week, just trying to figure out how to break down defences like that. And if anyone knows how to, it's Pep, who's been at Barcelona and Bayern, who have had the exact same problem for these seasons past.
Absolutely. So, combined 11 time.
Yes.
We've set some ground rules here. I don't know. I haven't got a clue who you've got in your team, but we're going to go with a 4-3-3 as both teams set up, and we're going to base this on, I guess, current form or recent form. Sweet Leroy Sané, he is not allowed in this one.
Shout out Emerick Laporte. You will be back.
We're with you,
You will
brothers.
be in the next lineup.
So on that basis, nice easy start. Edison obviously in goal.
No, sir. I think you'd find Alisson is in net here.
Oh, that's a sad opinion.
The boy is brilliant.
I mean, yeah, okay, fair enough. We'll leave that one alone. You are wrong.
Rock,
Back
paper,
four,
scissors.
we're going with Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Tick.
We're going with Andrew Robertson.
Tick.
We're going with Virgil van Dijk.
Tick.
I'd like to put Gomez in there. I know he's not really been favoured to Matip. I just really, really rate Gomez. But one of the Liverpool boys. All Liverpool back four.
Do you know what? I'm going to be controversial here.
Of course
I think the teams that Liverpool and City will be playing, I think a Fernandinho or a Rodri could do the job there.
Rodri fanboy.
I'm a Rodri fanboy, 100%. I've got a t-shirt, I get his tattoo just below my ear.
Man, see the copy of Mundial sticking out from you, out from your shirt.
Don't bring that down with me. I'm sorry. I only read Match of the Day magazine. Thank you. Yeah, I think Matip I really like. He's been really brilliant. Again, I think any of those will do. But if you had to ask me today, I'd put Rodri at centre back.
Interesting, but wrong. Our three midfielders. I've gone with Fabinho.
No arguments there.
Yeah, Kevin De Bruyne.
Yep.
And David Silva.
You got to go those three. I think they pick themselves. David Silva probably injured for the big game itself at the weekend, but that's only a little niggle.
I feel like Fernandinho, I've loved him for so long. I feel like Fabinho is probably more of a destroyer, I guess. And when you've got so many attacking talents, you do want somebody who can just sit back and chill a bit more. Whereas
Definitely.
I guess Fernandinho likes joining the party sometimes up top. But
yeah, no arguments there. I think Wijnaldum might be in the conversation if David Silva was too injured for our combined 11.
Bizarrely agree. Yeah.
I think what world we live in, eh?
He's coming good. And this is the part where we're going to launch at each other. Front three from Man United, Manchester City and Liverpool. Sergio Aguero, best striker in the Premier League, possibly the world. Would Lewandowski have a fight with you about that one?
I'll debate that as a separate debate.
Yeah.
The best striker in
Aguero's
the Prem.
in there.
But I think Aguero over Firmino.
I am going Raheem Sterling, and I'm going Sadio Mane, and I'm dropping Mohamed Salah and Roberto Firmino.
Today, as they're playing, it is Sterling and Mane.
Oof, yeah.
Salah just looks that fraction off of
Salah
Mane.
Salah hasn't quite hit his stride this year, I don't think.
No.
But I think Mane just is such a match winner, isn't he? Like he's such a live wire, and we saw the other day he's scoring with his head now. So
he's impacting every game in countless ways.
Yeah.
So he's really first name on the team sheet entirely at the minute.
Absolutely. And when this combined 11 is sorted off into their own herds, who's winning? Prediction: Manchester City and Liverpool at Anfield.
How can you call it? Last time Liverpool lost in the league was to Man City. They will not be losing again for me. But a 1-1 might not be off the table.
Oh, he's sitting firmly on the fence. I'm going Liverpool, and I'm going 3-1.
Wow.
I'm going
strong.
resounding Liverpool. I think this is going to come down to defences, and I think when push comes to shove, when it comes down to the crunch, I think my money's all over Liverpool for
If
that.
there's ever a time.
We'll see. It's going to be good. I mean, let's face it, no matter what happens,
Phenomenal
we don't
day
care.
of football.
We're not City or Liverpool fans. Haha,
As
have a
long as
day.
Wolves beat
Moving quickly on to Fantasy Premier League tips. If you haven't got Jamie Vardy by now, give up. If you haven't got John Lundstrom or Kagla Soyuncu, just give up. If your team is packed with City and Liverpool players, don't budge them. I think
No, you got to live
for the sake of a game, and like I say, anybody can pop up as a match winner. Big shout out for Bournemouth defenders. Been defending well at the minute. I think
Amazing.
Rico, Ake, even Steve Cook is a viable option for your Fantasy Premier League team.
Eddie Cook. Eddie Howe loves him.
Eddie Cook.
Eddie Cook.
Any
That's a new
other
one.
shouts in there?
Yeah, I'm going to say Anthony Martial. Man United, again, waver in their form. But I swapped in Martial as soon as Son got sent off
did the same.
at the weekend. Unfortunately for us, Son's red card has been overturned, probably rightly so.
Yep.
So Son will be available. But Martial just makes United so much better. He gets the best out of Rashford. And in their next 3 fixtures, it's Brighton, Sheffield United and Villa. Gotta hit the net from midfield at least once there.
Fair shout. And he is a midfielder in that as well, which I
He
think
is
a
indeed.
big
7.6.
plus. Mr. Wilson, thank you very much for your time. What's in Match of the Day magazine this week?
Well, obviously, like we said, there's one big match this week, and it is Liverpool-Man City. We've got all the insight on the title scrap between the two big teams, as well as an exclusive interview with Arsenal women's star Vivienne Miedema. She's an absolute baller. Get that read. Some truly outstanding posters, as well as some match attacks on the front. It is a big week in the mag.
And once again, ladies and gentlemen, he has forgot to bring me match attacks.
There's no Sunderland in them. I'm sorry.
No.
It's the big
Give it a couple of
teams.
years. Anyway, thank you very much for your time, Mr. Wilson. And for everybody listening at home, please come to radiotimes.com/sport. We have a brand shiny new page packed with sporting previews so you can watch every moment of the action from football to basically anything. Thank you very much for listening. Cheers.